What's going on, guys? James again, and it's been a while since I did a Shenmue video for the YouTube channel here, so I'm going to be doing yet another Shenmue 3 video, and I'm actually trying out a little bit of a new lighting source, so you kind of see a little bit of lighting here and a little bit of reflection here, and most importantly, I shaved my beard off.
Are you fucking shitting me?
Thanks, Joe. Anyway, so I had my coffee, got my Monster Java, got my 3 Dreamcasts, and I got my Japanese Shenmue 1 and Japanese Shenmue 2, which in my opinion are the best ones in the series. Best versions of Shenmue 1 and 2, because for one, they're uncensored, and for two, they're in the original language. There's a couple of differences. Actually, there's a good project going on by my friend Unused, who aims to de-censor the non-Japanese versions of Shenmue 2, including the Dreamcast and the Xbox versions. It was a very interesting project, so I'll go ahead and put a link to that in the description below. So, you're also going to see me kind of looking back at the TV a little bit, because I had the camera on the TV so I can see myself, just in case I'm having these, how should I say, focusing issues on the camera here. So anyway, so let's get on topic here, shall we? So, this video means a lot to me. The topic that is going to be discussed is something that interests me so much, and it's one of the reasons why I've gotten into the Shenmue hacking scene. So, before I begin, I need to make a couple of shout-outs. First shout-out goes to Lon DC, Matthew Kilpatrick from Shenmue Dojo. He was one of the pioneers of some of the content I'm about to discuss, which I'll reveal what that is in just a moment. A big thanks to Il Ducey from Shenmue Dojo. A big thanks to Phoenix from Shenmue Dojo. And a huge thanks to Giorgio from Facebook, also Giorgio from Shenmue Dojo. These guys are very, very into the hacking scene in Shenmue, and the contributions that they have made to the scene, and some of my own projects as well, which I've credited them, in the various projects. Awesome, unparalleled, such great stuff. Anyway, let's get down to business. So, the topic of this video is unused Shenmue assets, and what that means is content we find in Shenmue, particularly Shenmue 2, on the Xbox and the Dreamcast, that was never actually seen in the game. That's a kind of a crazy topic, so let's get some caffeine going on. It's good stuff. So we got some really dark roast coffee with some mocha coffee creamer. Sugar overload, but it's whatever. It's good stuff. Anyway, so what does it mean to have unused assets? Like I said, unused assets means stuff that we see in the files on the disk that are not actually seen in the game. So this means like unused characters, unused loading screens, things we see on the maps in Shenmue 2 that aren't actually in the game. Particularly one of them is the Tiger Gate building, which I'll get into. Unused dialogue that is seen in subtitles. And then I think that covers everything. So let's cover the most obvious question here. Why is there unused assets in Shenmue 2? Well, for those of you who might not know, Shenmue 2 was actually cut short. Now, a lot of people will say, "Hey James, that's unofficial. Nobody actually knows if Shenmue 2 was cut short or not." Actually, it is known, and it is true. Shenmue 2 was originally going to be longer than it actually is, both in the beginning and in the end. Now, from my understanding, Chapter 2 of Shenmue 2 or Shenmue in general, was the boat chapter. Now, it's unknown whether or not the boat chapter, if it was to be in a game, is either in Shenmue 1 or Shenmue 2. Oh yeah, just to show you, this is disc 1 of Shenmue 1, disc 1? No, disc 2 of Shenmue 2, and disc 4 of Shenmue 2. Why? Fuck it. Who cares? Anyway, so, it's unknown whether or not the boat chapter is going to be in Shenmue 1 or Shenmue 2. Now, unfortunately, there are no traces that I know of the boat chapter in Shenmue 2 or Shenmue 1 that are not seen in the game. Obviously, we have the boat in both games because the boat is a used asset. There's textures and skeleton models and sounds and all that fun stuff. Now, let's get to the more meatier parts. So let's begin with an unused character, okay? Now, for those of you who don't really understand how Shenmue works, in Shenmue 2 particularly, there is a file, actually there's a pair of files called humans.afs and humans.idx. Now, what those files are very, very important to the game. You know, technology speaking or infrastructurally speaking. The humans.afs is a container package that contains a bunch of NT7 models of every NPC you see in the game. Now that's generalizing very much. There are certain times in Shenmue 2 on the disc where you'll find character models outside of the humans AFS package. But primarily you'll find the models for Ryo and Landi and Shenhua and Shuing and all of that fun stuff in humans.afs. Now humans.idx is what it says. It's the index, IDX index. What that is just an array of pointers that the game pretty much goes to find the model in the AFS package. They kind of work together. At least that's how I understand it. I could be a little wrong about that. I've never actually read the source code for Shenmue, although I would fucking love to know exactly how that works. But from understandingly, from hacking those files and seeing how it changes perceptually, that's just an index. And if you actually open it in a hex editor, you can see the list of 4-letter acronyms for each character. So, in humans.afs, we have a certain character who is never ever seen in the game. Nobody knows what his name is, or at least I don't think anyone does. I mean, outside of the, you know, the Shenmue development team. But one thing we do have are a couple of screenshots of this character. Now, this character is referred to only by its 3-letter acronym of OSY, or OC. Let's call him OC from here on. It's easy. OC was a character that was to be seen in the final chapters of Shenmue 2, or possibly in the beginning chapters of Shenmue 3. Now, it's very possible that this was cut content from Shenmue 2. Somebody on Shenmue 500K claimed that it was actually confirmed to be cut content from Shenmue 2. It could be cut to be put into Shenmue 3, I have no idea. I'm assuming it's either in the beginning of Shenmue 3 in Bailu Village, or in the area of Shenmue 2 in between getting to Guilin for the first time and then seeing the cutscene with Shenhua. I think there was supposed to be a village in between there, I could be wrong. So anyway, OC was seen in a couple of screenshots, which I'm going to put on the screen now. Awesome stuff. So, those screenshots show OC talking to Ryo. I believe the for the kanji, the writing on the screenshots, it changes to, or it translates into English something like, do you know where you put the stuff of Rakose? Now, what Rakose is something that's still kind of a mystery. The word Rakose itself has a little bit of a wordplay on it, or meaning that it's either a town or a person. But that's for another video, because that's diving into a theory that I don't feel like explaining yet. One of my own theories, as well as a couple of other people in the community. To be honest, I have a feeling that Rakose is a person. So, OC is playable in the game with some hacking. I've released a couple of, you know, photos myself, along with Lon DC and all them, of OC being ported into the game. Now, we could put them anywhere. You could put them in Guilin, you could put them in Kowloon, you could put them in Wanzai, whatever you want to do. All you need to do is just hack the AFS pointers and replace another character with him. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you OC in-game in Guilin, and I'm going to cut to that right now.
Excuse me.
Okay, so that's OC in-game. As you can see, he's just a slightly more than generic old man. He's got a long beard. That's really all that we know about him, to be honest. Unfortunately, there's no real unique identifier about him that allows us to tell where he's at. So, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he's at Baiwu Village at this point. I have a feeling we'll be seeing him in the future games. So yeah, that's OC for you. So, another interesting thing about Shenmue 2, and this is why another claim about Shenmue 2 being cut, or having cut content, or being cut short, is kind of very, very realistic and possible. There's a loading screen that was found in Shenmue 2 by my colleague Lon DC, Matthew Kilpatrick, of Baiwu Village. Now, this was found on the Xbox version of Shenmue 2. I'm going to go ahead and put that image on screen now. So, yeah, Baiwu Village has a loading screen. Unfortunately, there's no map file for it, which kind of sucks. So it's not like we have any, you know, look into what Baiwu Village was most likely going to look like, which makes me really sad. Anyway, so the fact that there's a loading screen of Baiwu Village in Shenmue 2's files is kind of odd. Yu Suzuki at one point confirmed that the development team for Shenmue was very chaotic, so there's a lot of assets on there that are not actually used. So it's very possible somebody just made a Baiwu Village loading screen for the sake of having it for when it's actually going to be used in Shenmue 3. And that it wasn't actually meant to be in Shenmue 2, but it just so happens to be there because they just wanted to have it. I mean, I do that shit all the time. You know, you do a little premature development so that you have that class or object or whatever in a future time. It's like getting stuff done early so that you don't have to do it later. So, which makes sense, you know, from a time management standpoint. As far as I know, no other traces of Baiwu Village actually exist. Whether there's some unused textures here and there, possibly there most likely is, but I don't know because I've never actually gone through every single one and figured out where that texture is. So there could be like one or two wall textures or something somewhere that is from Baiwu Village, but it's not actually used in the game. But as far as I know, we only have a loading screen. So, going on to another unused Shenmue asset, we have, actually it's kind of slightly used, but in a sense it's not because it's so heavily detailed and you don't see that. And of course I'm talking about Shenhua's birthplace scene, or her flashback scene that she has, where you see Shenhua, and I quote that for a reason that I'm not going to talk about. Just giving you guys a little bit of a hint there. Shenhua is in a baby basket and is seen with her two parents. Shenhua, parents. You see her in a baby basket in this area that looks like a shrine of some sorts underneath a Shenmue tree. Shenmue tree. Very important observation. Anyway, so that area in general is so fucking detailed. It is mind-blowing. It lags the Dreamcast to the point, like, I was getting like 5 frames a second. That's how detailed that place is. Why is it so fucking detailed? Who knows? Now, the Xbox version runs without any problems, and I actually made a video on that particular area, which I'll put a link to in the description. Go and watch it. Now, it's a used Shenmue 2 asset, but it's so detailed with stuff you don't even see. It's unused in a sense, because if you actually walk around it and look at everything, dude, it's amazing. This shit makes me like go nuts. I love it so much. It's so interesting. Okay, so for this video, I'm going to conclude with one more unused Shenmue asset. And that's something that's a little arcane and will take a little time to explain. But there's an entire building in Kowloon that's not even in the game, but it's in the files. I'm talking about the Tiger Gate building. Now, the Tiger Gate building is kind of the center of a couple of topics over at Shenmue Dojo, and I'll go ahead and put a link in the description so you can go and read that. But to sum it up, the Tiger Gate building, first off, there's a loading screen for it in the Shenmue files, which I'll put up now. So, the Tiger Gate building, and in one of the maps for Kowloon, you actually see the building. Now, LonDC did a whole breakdown of this, so I'm not going to go ahead and repeat everything because honestly, I don't remember it completely off the top of my head. But I'll definitely put those links in the description so you can go ahead and read that. It's very, very interesting stuff. It also shows you how deep Shenmue really is with its symbolic nature of naming conventions and literal geographic locations of areas in the game, according to the 4 cardinal points in Chinese culture, the 4 symbols, if you want to call it that, or the 4 seasons. They all kind of go hand in hand. It's fucking ridiculous. This game is nuts. Anyway, so that concludes today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it's cut a little short. I'm kind of running out of time. I gotta do a lot of stuff today because I don't know if you saw, I wound up getting like pretty hurt over the past weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, which is why I'm sitting kind of weirdly. I have a pinched friggin' nerve in my back, which kind of sucks. So I gotta go and get that fixed. So I can actually walk around and play DDR and all that. So yeah. So without further ado, let me go ahead and conclude this video. There are a couple of more unused Shenmue assets that are seen more in Wanzai and Kowloon. Unfortunately, the majority of those unseen assets do not exist in Guilin, which kind of sucks. They're not on Disc 4, which is sad because anything that's unused on Disc 4 was most likely cut content, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we're always finding new stuff in the game, which is kind of awesome. Like, since 1999, we're still finding new shit. Like, not too long ago, I found like an unused line in the subtitles. I found some unused dialogue between Shenhua and Ryo during the walk to Shenhua's house, which is kind of actually important because one of the things that she says is kind of very cryptic in nature. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. More Shenmue discussion videos are to come, and I'm still working on part 2 of the Shenmue HD Let's Play, so stop asking. It's gonna take me a while because this computer back here is fucking shit. It's kind of having some issues being stable with the recording software, so I'm kind of fighting Camtasia on that. So, anyway guys, thanks for watching, and as always, have a nice day.